constantly say this, Abhishek, that this version of you that we see is version 2.0. Is it version 4.0? Is it a thing that you start thinking about, even from mortality point of view, legacy point of view, when you're like 40 plus? I'm like, boss, can't continue like this forever. Could age have a factor, be a factor in this?
I'm sure it could. It wasn't for me.
Okay.
Who's 40? Me?
No, you're 25.
No, I'm 42. But it's how old you feel, you know. No, age really wasn't a thing.
No?
But I think
maybe
time spent being a professional is.
Sure.
You know, after a point you start evaluating your life and you say, hey, you know, what do I stand for? What am I going to be remembered as? And these are important questions. I think for me it was more after the birth of my daughter that I started asking myself these questions.
That you want to leave behind a legacy.
Absolutely.
Enough of Houseful 3s and 4s and 5s.
No, I love that. I can't wait to do
but nobody's going to remember those films. I mean, I'm sure they will.
You just did.
Huh?
You just did.
Well, I didn't have a choice. I was just reading up on what's the last film that he did before Manmarzia, which I think people will remember.
Well, thank you. That's the intention.
Right.
It's like I said, it's not, it wasn't the kind of films I was doing. If you ask me today, you might not agree with it because I know your personal choice, but I'd do another Houseful. I'd love to do another Happy New Year. I'd readily do a Bol Bachchan. I grew up watching Manmohan Desai and Prakash Mehra. They're my favorite filmmakers. I'd love to do the kind of stuff. And these are films that, you know, the audiences love. I agree, they're made for a specific kind of an audience. Right. It's a genre of cinema which is leave your brains at home and just come entertain yourself. And there's a huge market for it, because if there wasn't, they wouldn't be doing the kind of business that they do. I mean, till date, I walk into places and people come up and say, you know, hey, Nandu Bide, or, you know, we loved you in Houseful. Or they'll come up to you and say, oh, we loved you in Dhoom and Jai Dikshit. So you can't discount that. So I love that kind of cinema. I can't wait to do it again. Coupled with other work that inspires me as well. But like I said, for me, it was more about how I was doing that kind of film. It wasn't like, okay, if you're going to stand there, then you need to make a difference. You need to be able to say something. You need to be able to do something. You need people to turn around and hopefully, you know, come back here and sit in front of you and get you to give as glowing a response to a Houseful that you have, say, for Manmarzia. Thank you, by the way. Yeah.
You're welcome.
So that's part of the goal. You can't just write off stuff and say, oh, Mayank didn't like it, so that's fine.
No, of course.
No, I want you to like it, so I'm going to work hard enough so that...
Did it happen in the early part of your career, especially, Abhishek, when you did certain films and you thought you'd done a great job in those films, and perhaps people hadn't watched it and you felt even worse about it? I'll give an example, okay? And of course, you'll come up with far more examples. Like, one of my favorite performances of yours is a film called Run, right? And there's this scene where you're in a subway. And so just to let the audience know, there are a bunch of goons and the hero is right there facing the bunch of goons, and he turns around and he starts running. So you think, "Arey, ek to naya type ka hero hai, he's running." But he's actually running to catch the shutter, to pull it down so no one else runs away, and then he whacks the shit out of everyone. I don't know how many people saw that, but that was a fantastic performance.
That was the reason I did the film.
Right. Oh, was that the scene?
Yeah. So, Run was a Tamil film which Maddie had acted in. And Maddie, Madhavan is a dear friend of mine. And I had agreed to do it because, it's a very cool story. Mr. Boni Kapoor wanted to produce the film, and he said, look, come watch this film. I said, okay. So I went to see it in a trial room that we have called Ketnav, which is in Bandra. And I went and sat there. I remember Sridevi ji, the late Sridevi ji, was sitting next to me. I'm a huge fan of hers, okay? I used to go hang out on the sets of Khudagawa just to watch her. And she was sitting next to me, and she's always been so lovely to me, and she had always encouraged me, and she had loved this film I'd done called Tera Jadoo Chal Gaya. I think she was the only person who
No, that's not true. That's not true.
But yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Were you born? So I was sitting next to her, and I'm sitting next to Sridevi. I was like, wow. And suddenly, I wasn't even paying attention to the film. But suddenly, when that scene came, for me, that was my ode to my father, actually. Because that scene reminded me of a scene in Diwar.
Right.
And I said, I'm doing this film. And then when I reached the set, I remember that, oh God, I've only remember one scene. I don't even remember what the film was about. But that was the reason I did did that film, and that film actually got a great response. That's still one of the films that, on Twitter till date, people still say that they liked it. So a few people saw it. But every film has its own destiny, I believe. So yeah.
Are there any others you can remember which, I mean the early part of your career where you felt like you'd given your best, but I don't think the audience came and they should have?
No.
None?
The one truth which us actors very seldom own up to is when you see your film, which you do before the audience does, you know whether it's going to work or not.
Really?
Yeah. You know whether you've given your best, because you know the amount of effort you've put in whilst filming it. So you realize that. It's after that, hope is a very dangerous thing. You just hope it clicks. But you know the truth. I've, very honestly, I've done some 60 odd films now.
Right.
I've been wrong just about one of them. I could sit in the trial and be like, oh, another one bites the dust.
Really?
Yeah. Because of the way I worked in it. Not as an entire,
Sure.
I can't comment on other people's work. But I knew, and I'm one of those people who believes that if your work is that good, the film will work. So I knew each and every
So which was this one that you were wrong about?
Jhoom Barabar Jhoom.
Arey.
Yeah, I loved doing Jhoom Barabar Jhoom. I had such a blast. It was great music. Shahad and I were collaborating after Bunty Aur Bubbly. We had a blast making the film.
That movie you need drugs for.
It was say no to drugs, man. Yeah. So it was just wonderful. And when I saw the screening of it, all of us were watching it together, and we had a blast watching it. But then when the film didn't end up doing the kind of business I thought it did, it kind of threw me off. But then I realized why it didn't. And
Did you actually go with coins to the screening?
Yes.
You actually throwing them?
When my dad comes on, yeah. Because I'd done that in Bunty Aur Bubbly as well.
Okay.
Shahad and I are big Amitabh Bachchan fans. So in Bunty Aur Bubbly, when his introduction happens, we actually went to Gate Galaxy and threw money.
Like, you won't get recognized in Gate Galaxy?
Or if you run down the aisle really fast and throw money and run out again,
Really?
you're fine. And then you meet the ticket collector who says, "Mera screen mat phado tum." Okay, sorry. And then so we did that in Jhoom Barabar Jhoom. He did a song in that. And so we did that, yeah. But that was the one film which didn't do what I expected it to do. It didn't do badly, actually, but not what I expected it to do. That was the only one.
The others you've seen and you know.
Yeah. I think what went wrong with Jhoom Barabar Jhoom is there was a problem in relatability. You said it. You said you wanted to take drugs and watch it. It's because I think the characters were a bit too eccentric and flamboyant. Secondly, also what happens if you compare it to his last film, which was Bunty Aur Bubbly, the best part about Bunty Aur Bubbly. Have you all seen this movie called Bunty Aur Bubbly? Okay.
Yeah, stop being modest. Have you guys seen the movie called Bunty Aur Bubbly? It's one of the biggest hits of that year.
Yeah, but they all
just in case you're sitting in some other country.
So the relatability of Rakesh and Vimy is that these small town kids who have stars in their eyes and want to make it big, that's, it was aspirational. It was every small town kid's dream to grow up and go to Bombay. That was the big thing. So there's that aspiration, there's that relatability. Now in India, हमारे रिश्तेदार foreign में रहते हैं. This is a big deal. Hounslow में 10 जन एक कमरे में दिन रात, they're stuck somewhere. वो problem नहीं है. How they live, वो तो foreign में है. विलायत में रहते हैं. It's a very big thing. So now, when you've already showing a film about people who are living abroad, they're already aspirational. So we want to see the Raichans of K3G. You don't want to know what their normal problems are. एक तो तुम लोग विलायत में रह रहे हो. I don't want to know what your problem is, and I don't care about your problems unless you're showing me an aspirational life. So I think they just disconnected from it. To add to it, the characters were very zany, very out there. So they've just switched off from it. And they're like, this is a trip we don't want to be on.
But I said the drugs part because there's that song where the strobe lights are on.
Yeah.
And in the theater is really, really trippy.
Yeah. Kiss of Love, I think that's called. That was Bobby and
Because
Pricky's.
it's like a dark hall. And I don't think I've ever seen that in any film in a theater.
But that's Shahad, Shahad has a very visual sense of cinema. And he can be very eccentric if he wants to.